Factory 42 has 2 to 4 players generating resources and fulfilling orders to gain more recognition from government bureaucrats. Dragon Dawn Productions provided this prototype in exchange for an honest review. Because it is a prototype, the final game will have updated components and may have different rules. Variants allow for broken trades, difficulty tweaks, and an expansion, commissions. I'm going to focus on the standard game. You'll pull out workers for later benefits. Depending on when you put your worker, the exact benefit can change, or possibly be no longer available. The number of available workers depends on player count. 7 for 2/3 players, 6 for 4 players. Reveal a new event to start each of the 6 rounds. 5 cards, and last one is printed on the board. Most resolve during rounds and some at round's end. They also affect cubes in the common pool. Government orders are drawn equal to player count. At the start of each round, draw more to replace those fulfilled in the previous round. During the game, you will be acquiring resource cubes to fulfill 1 or more of these cards at one of the quality levels. The reward depends on the quality, and multiple players can fulfill a single order. Unfulfilled orders have a red rosette token placed on them as future incentive. I explained events. Requisition is where you draft resource cubes from the supply to go into the Bureaucracy Tower's common pool, plus take a little bonus for yourself. The first worker there gains a rosette. Rewards change depending on how many workers are there. Finally, hex spaces change the worker into a commissar. Commissars have a unique ability at each location. Here, gain a rosette and place 2 resource cubes in the common pool, plus an additional 2 per requisition worker, and gain 1 personal cube per requisition worker. The second location, Bureaucracy, is where player 1 scoops up all the resource cubes from the common pool, then pours them into the tower. Bureaucrats may keep some resources for themselves, but perhaps future resources will knock these out of their grabby hands. When loading, bring a cart onto the track, add resource cubes from the common pool to it, then slide it down the track to the shipping location. Order is important, once again, and the commissar allows you to add more resources. Next is spiking, which is where you can, if there's space, add some additional resource cubes from the spiking bag. Why do this? Well, the resource cubes are sized according to value, large, medium, and small, so it's not a completely blind draw. Think of this as an extra bit of manipulation. Next is shipping. I mentioned earlier that there is negotiation in this game. I've walked through 4 locations so far, and you can see multiple ways where trades could be beneficial. Carts can go on any player board. Yup, you can help someone out. You can also seriously clog up their board. Burnable resource cubes in the common pool are returned to the supply board for steam. Adjust the steam track accordingly. Workers here can burn any unwanted cubes from your supply, taking rosettes as a reward. If too much steam is produced, the generator blows. Drop the marker down 7 spaces and don't generate any more that round. Yep, steam is shared. If you use up everyone's steam, too bad for them. The market card also changes each round, adjusting resource cube values when trading to and from the market. Each worker may trade any combination of resources from their warehouse. Acquired cubes must go back in the warehouse. If a commissar is here, you must bribe them with a rosette. Warehouses are in the bottom right of your player board. Standard holds 4 cubes. Unlock additional storage through research. 2 or 3 material cubes plus steam allow you to develop new warehouses. To develop a crane, spend 1 wood plus any material. Build an incinerator to generate personal steam by spending 3 metal resource cubes. The commissar grants you a wild magic resource that can be used for anything, and allows you to trade 2 rosettes for a point or a magic resource cube. In Manufactory 1, use resource cubes from Dock 1 or your warehouse to fulfill 1 government order. A second worker grants you a magic resource, making fulfillment easier. Jumping ahead, Manufactorium 2 uses resource cubes from Dock 2 or your warehouse. If you developed a crane, use resource cubes from either dock. The final main board location, second last to resolve, is accounting. Trade rosettes or resources for points. If a commissar is here, you must bribe them with a resource cube. Between rounds, run through the cleanup steps on your player boards. Refresh cards, reward/takeaway points/rosettes based on government order fulfillment, and so on. After that, begin the next round. The game ends after 6 rounds, or if a player reaches 42 in the scoring track. Award points to the player with the most rosettes, resources, improvements, and so on. The player with the most points wins. Place workers, fulfill orders, and use community resources in order to get ahead. That's Factory 42. The Factory 42 prototype wasn't colored or produced in a way that allowed for smooth and quick gameplay, so I can't accurately say how fast the game will be once everyone is comfortable. Our plays average 2.5 hours, and I'm pretty confident in saying that 3 and 4 player games can be played in 2 hours. I only recommend players 10 and up try this. Players need the area a size of a placemat. The main board is around the size of one too, however you then need space for the tower and cards. A table of 3.5 feet by 3.5 feet is fine. All players need to be comfortable knowing that mistakes are punishing no matter the player count. I've only played this with 3 people. The game will feel more open with 2 players because only 14 meeples are used. This will be mean with 4 people. 24 total workers are in play. Factory 42 has about a dozen locations for you to place your workers, and depending on the game state, each one can be extremely valuable. Of course, that doesn't make them balanced, but that's okay. What is important to you might not be important to someone else. Then again, if everyone is targeting the same location, super clever. Locations are resolved in numerical order, so placement matters. You begin by resolving things as you wish, but you're only free for so long before the government steps in. There are only 3 basic scoring groups: orders, accounting, and endgame. The advanced game adds extra ways plus extra locations that increase the choices in battles even more. I don't recommend the advanced game right away, but it is my preferred way to play. The commissar idea is genius. You have the freedom to sacrifice any worker to gain a new ability, but the ability is tied to the location and usually depends on other players. Worker placement in this game already has a push your luck element, but the commissar even more so. There's a variety of events, and their effects, while not necessarily devastating, can change things enough to make rounds a bit more interesting. I like this a lot, and the Kickstarter adds even more. A changing market is also clever. You might want to trade some extra cubes only to see that their value has completely disappeared. It's a small thing, but I wish this game used buy and sell instead of to and from. It's so much more natural, especially during gameplay. The board's black text blends into the background, making it difficult to read. I really hope that this is changed from the prototype, but the latest rulebook seems to show that this isn't the case. Another thing that needs to be changed, but might not be, are the icons. They're tiny and look way too similar, making them hard to see during the game. You might be like, I need 2 materials, but it was actually metal you needed. Add those prototype pieces, and it made for a frustrating experience despite the actual gameplay being enjoyable. Factory 42 is a mean game where you can negotiate, then break negotiations, stick it to other players, and do what it takes to get ahead of your fellow dwarves, all the while benefiting off their hard work. There are tons of choices, and while only a few ways to actually score points, there are multiple ways to weasel into scoring position. Despite all this, I think the game takes a bit too long for what you get out of it. Is that due to the prototype, or should this be a 5-round game instead? I won't know for sure until I try the finished game.